morning, Rochester ALC, and welcome to another edition of C103 News. I'm Sean.
And I'm Andrew. Last week, our episode had a common theme, technology. This week, we're doing something similar.
That's right. If you watch the news, you've seen some pretty tough stories lately coming out of Ferguson, New York, and even the NFL.
Our news team decided to do some investigating on these topics. Up first, here's the Rochester ALC's take on Ferguson.
So for those of you who are not aware about what's recently been happening at Ferguson, Missouri, there was a case a couple months ago where an officer shot and killed a young boy named Michael Brown. People have a lot of accusations on what really happened, but there isn't any solid evidence on what really went down. And for that very reason was why so many people were mad when there was no charges pressed on Officer Wilson to court. So for this decision, and due to a lot of cases being very similar to it recently, people have been feeling very angered by it and have, felt really like they're beginning to question the police system and they're beginning to question the trust they put on police officers out there. There have been very much a lot of various opinions, and there's a lot of protests going on. Protests have been spreading around America, and we have protests going on in, Rochester. Some of them have resorted to violence, and some people are starting hashtag movements like in New York, or just putting a sign around their mouth saying "I can't breathe." So we do have some interviews on the case coming up. So.
Hi, we're here with Officer Edge, and I'm gonna ask him a couple questions. So, you know what's going on with the whole Ferguson thing and everything, right?
Yep.
Alright, so if you could talk to those cops, or just authority in general, what would you say to them?
Well, to be honest, I don't, when it comes to conversing with other cops or police officers and other agencies and things like that, to speak with them directly as far as what's going on down there or what occurred during any of the incidents, I couldn't necessarily speak on behalf of some of the decisions that have been made, only because, that'd be similar to that, having them speak on behalf of some of the cases that I've worked or the decisions that I've made. So until you're in the shoes of anybody that's involved in any incident, whether it's a suspect, victim, or a witness, it's hard to say one way or another. But just in general to the public, just support and understanding for whatever capacity that they're in. So I don't think that I would have any direct advice to them or what I would say to them.
Alright, how do you think we can improve police relationships with citizens?
I think as far as police relations, a lot of it's, in my opinion, a two-way street. As much as the officer can build a relationship, it can also be destructive. The same as the citizen or the person I'm interacting with. It can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing. So it's kind of the old saying is respect is a two-way street. I think that goes a long way. As law enforcement, we're there to do a job, and we're there for the best interest of the public. And a lot of times that can be that person's perspective of whether it is or is not important. Mm-hmm. But it's not for me or anybody else to judge what is or is not important. For example, to some people, the theft of a candy bar is super important. Others would find that to be a very small, unimportant issue.
Yeah.
But people call the police for a variety of reasons. It's because they need assistance, and that's what we're tasked to do. So sometimes when I respond to something, I might not get the most satisfying reaction to somebody. Some of it can be contentious as far as you can't talk to me, you don't have the right to stop to me, so on and so forth. So I think that's where a lot of confrontation happens at times, is you don't understand the gravity or you don't have the information on why you're being bothered. Some people talk about profiling and things of that nature. Well, what I would do is, if I was on the receiving end, much like I could be in another state or another outside the city of Rochester, and I could be the one getting stopped, is give the officer the opportunity to explain why he's being stopped. Wouldn't necessarily become confrontational. I mean, we're tasked to deal with it. We're trained to deal with it, and you got to be able to deal with that. You know, I never want to get escalated or confrontational. I call it roadside courtroom. I'm not going to do it. You know, but I think that goes a long way as far as relaxing the community's concerns and things like that, is just to explain what your purpose is and why you're doing what you're doing. As far as on the receiving end, is try to, you know, understand. And, you know, we're people just like everybody else. You know, we've been victims of crimes, you know, and things like that. So understanding what our intent is, it's not to harass, it's not to, you know, jam people up. It's to more or less help people.
Mm-hmm.
And having that understanding and that two-way respect, open dialogue, you know, give the officer the opportunity to speak the same as I'm going to give you the opportunity to speak. So I think that goes a long way towards police relations. And voicing your concerns. A lot of the concern sometimes is out in the community that there's issues, you know, there's different things that can be said. You know, we want to help better the community, make it safe for, you know, where you live. I don't necessarily know what's going on, but being open and developing that relationship. It's not always responding to the, you know, to the theft, the domestic, or the in progress thing. And I think that's also to be said that police, you know, improving the relations is get out, know your community and things like that, interacting with your people outside of responding to that call. I think the more involvement and the more you can become a face to that community, I think the better the relation is. And the more trust that's developed. You know, if you know me and you see me and it's, you know, I'm coming to talk to you about a fight, if I've had history with you or I've said, hey, how's it going, and you've seen me not necessarily, you know, you see me in a different light, I think building that trust goes a long way too. And it's not the first time I step out of the car, you're going to immediately trust who I am and what my intentions are. But having that, you know, rapport goes a long way, I believe. And that's, again, a two-way street. You know, don't be afraid to come up and say hi to a cop. Don't run up on a cop. Don't, you know, make unsafe, you know, decisions and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, for example, if I'm on a traffic stop, probably not the best time to come up and shake my hand because I want to be focused on the issue in front of me. But if I'm walking through the neighborhood or you see me, you know, or see another officer, hey, how's it going? We like that as much as anybody else. I like the positive interactions. You know, I'd rather deal with anybody in that regard. Hey, how's it going? How you doing? You know, what's
Yeah.
your plans? So on and so forth. You know.
I just have one more question. It's natural to judge people when you first see them. Do you feel that judgment is a big part of the problem?
As far as police judging the people that they're dealing with?
As far as the whole situation in Ferguson and just police relationships and, like, I don't know, like...
You know, I think as far as judgment, why the decisions were made in Ferguson and New York and elsewhere around the country,
Yeah.
you know, as far as those big cases that have come up, I mean, again, I can't answer on that. I mean, there was an investigation done, decisions were made. I wasn't there. A jury was established, and they made the decisions based on whatever was presented. I'd be speculating as far as why that stuff occurs. I mean, judgment, I think that's, you know, it happens. As far as me judging you and deciding because of X, Y, and Z, I'm going to deal with you or stop you, I can't unless I have a reason to stop you, and that would be on the basis of suspicious activity, a citizen complaint, or a criminal action.
Okay.
You know, and I think that that's where some of the concern comes. I think when the caveat is because of A, B, and C, this is why the cop had the interaction. Well, the fact of the matter is we can't just go and I can't go in and grab him because he's wearing a gray t-shirt unless he matches some sort of, you know, hey, this is what was described to me, A, B, and C, and that person matches A, B, and C. And again, that goes back to the police relations. We're not just grabbing people because of we're judging them. There's more of a basis for that. You know, reasonable suspicion, probable cause is the standard that we're going to operate on, or the specific departmental policies that they have in place. But again, I would caveat back to the police relations.
Yeah.
If we're stopping you, let us explain why, or, you know, the judgment, if you feel you're being judged, that portion of where you allow the officer to explain, or, hey, why am I being stopped? That's an appropriate question to ask.
Of course.
You know, because if you don't know and you're in the wrong place, wrong time, and you match up to the description of a suspect, or your car matches a suspect car, and you have no clue, you're, you know, soccer mom or whatever, you're coming from practice and you have no clue what's going on, yeah, you're probably going to be a little concerned and wonder and immediately maybe come to an assumption. But pose that question, you know, at an appropriate time, listen to the officer's instructions, and things should resolve itself. And what I always tell people is if they feel they've been wronged in some sort of way, there's a proper way to go about things. I mean, if you feel that the officer or, you know, law enforcement in general has unjustly done something, don't fight the officer. That's not going to end well for anybody. You know, I never want to be in that situation. I don't want to use force on people, you know, but if you go through it properly, just listen to the officer, and if at the end of it you still feel that you've been wrong, there's a complaint process and an investigation process in place for that.
Okay. Well, those are all the questions I have for you, so thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Alright guys, I'm here with Gracie and Tanya, and today we're talking about trust with the police system. Alright Gracie, with you, what are your experiences, and personally, do you trust the police?
Honestly, cops have always been around since they're younger, and you can either build trust with them or you don't trust them at all, depending on what the situation is.
Thank you. Tanya, it's natural to judge people when first seen. Do you feel like judgment is part of the problem?
It goes both ways. There's some cops that have a different view than others, some cops that are there to help, some cops that are just there to have a job.
Thank you guys. Alright guys, so today we showed you the various opinions on, the case today from people at our school. And for those of you who did not know what's going on, I hope you know now and are more aware of what's going on in the world. People are definitely asking for a change. You can definitely expect something to go down in the near future. But for now, just stay safe out there. Do some legal stuff. Don't do anything to get in trouble. Alright? Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks for the info, team. Some of the protests happening around the country have really gotten out of hand. Thankfully, the one that happened last weekend in Rochester was very peaceful. Some members of the police squad even participated.
As Rochester residents, you probably feel pretty safe most of the time, but people in other cities and states aren't so lucky.
There's crime all over the United States. We always hear stories about scary murders and things like that, but believe it or not, there are still good places to live, and Rochester is one of the best places. We went around asking people from our school what they think about Rochester. Some facts about how safe Rochester actually is. It's the 42nd most dangerous state of 2014 in the United States, and we did a little research comparing Rochester to St. Paul. In Rochester, we only had 2 murders this year, where in St. Paul we had 13. There were 55 robberies in Rochester and 658 robberies in St. Paul. There was no rapes in Rochester, and there were 168 rapes in St. Paul. And there was 104 assaults here and 1,262 assaults in St. Paul.
I'm Ian here, and I'm going to talk with Ms. Zaccarello about living in Rochester and some of her experiences. What made you come to Rochester?
Well, my husband got a job at Mayo Clinic, so that's why we moved here.
Do you think Rochester is a good place to live?
Yeah, I like Rochester a lot because it's small, and I feel like there's a real community feeling, and people really look out for each other. They care about each other. Cleveland, where I came from, is a huge city, and it's easy to get lost and get forgotten because there's so much going on.
Yeah. And then, what made you stay here?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's those things that I just talked about. There's really a sense that people here care, they want to help others, there's a lot of social involvement, and you guys had talked a little bit about crime, and I really feel like, you know, it is a safe place, although we don't have children, it feels like a comfortable and safe place to live. I also think it's kind of neat because there's a lot of diversity here. There's people from all over the world that live here, and that's important to me. So to get kind of a small town feel, but like with international flavor.
Yeah. Yep.
We like that a lot.
All right.
Hi, I'm here with Tanya, and we're going to answer a few questions, so let's get started. So where are you from?
Paramount, Los Angeles.
And what made you come to Rochester?
Better environment, living conditions.
Okay, and is there a difference for crime rate from there and here?
Most definitely. We kind of lived near Compton, which is not a very safe place to even go out. You can't leave your doors unlocked at all. And here it's more of you're able to let your kids out without having a fear of anything happening under them.
Pretty interesting, thank you.
Thank you. Well,
Overall, Rochester is a nice, safe place to live. We would all agree that we feel safe in our community. According to the Livability Survey of Rochester, Rochester is the second best place to live for mid-sized cities.
I guess we are all pretty lucky to live in such a safe city and state.
Our city has a lot to offer besides safety. That's why we were voted the second best mid-sized city to live in. To tell you even more about it, here are some team members with another edition of Know Your Community.
For Know Your Community segment today, I'm here at Olmsted County Community Health Center to introduce you to Joan. So here she is right now.
Hi, Spencer.
Hi, Joan. How's it going? I'm
Good.
Spencer.
Nice to meet you.
We're here from ALC News to ask you a couple questions today about the health center.
All right, go ahead.
What are some of the benefits of the health center?
Well, we serve all of Olmsted County, which includes Rochester, Stewartville, Byron, Dover, Yoda, not quite up to Pine Island. So we're a pretty big area. There are 10 of us that are in the schools. We serve the Rochester public schools, the private schools, and the charter schools. So in addition to doing day school and night school at the ALC, I also go to Rock, 2 elementary schools and 2 Christian schools.
All right. What are some things that you do here at the clinic? Like what services do you provide?
A lot of the services are provided in this building, but a lot of the nurses also go out into the community. This part of the building is the WIC program, which is nutrition for women, infants, and children. So some of the moms and the babies at the ALC can come here and get help with groceries or formula for their babies, as well as some education. We do immunizations or vaccines, and they're done on a walk-in basis in the afternoon, so you don't have to have an appointment. We work with refugees who are new to the community to make sure that they're screened for tuberculosis and make referrals to Mayo Clinic. We also have Mayo Clinic physicians that come over here to see them so that they don't have to hassle the parking and all of that stuff at Mayo Clinic. We have nurses that do home visits for moms and children to teach about parenting. We have nurses that go out and do home visits to the elderly to get them the support they need to stay in their home. We have people in our environmental area that work with restaurants and hotel pools to make sure that they're kept clean and safe. And in the event that someone does eat some bad food, then public health is the one that investigates where the source of that norovirus or whatever was. So we're a pretty busy place with a lot of stuff going on here.
Well, thank you. That was Joan informing us about the Community Olmsted Health Clinic. And back to you.
Rochester has a lot to offer. We all know that one of the best parts of Rochester is our very own ALC.
We have a great school, and I can say that personally, I've had a great experience here. So great, in fact, that I hope I remember it forever.
If you want to hang on to all the memories you've made, one way to do that is by a yearbook.
That's true. Here's a word from our yearbook staff on just that.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say,
You should order a yearbook in order today. There are only 50 for sale this year. So order yours early, do you hear? So buy a yearbook along if you plan on buying your book today. So buy a yearbook along if you know that memories are here to stay. In the yearbook along if you got $25 for Baethke. So buy a yearbook along if you want to buy a keeper of your memories. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Time is running short, so don't hold back. I should probably warn you, you'll be just fine. If you buy a yearbook, so don't waste your time. So buy a yearbook along if you plan on buying a book today. So buy a yearbook along if you know that memories are here to stay. In the yearbook along if you got $25 for Baethke. To buy a yearbook along if you want to buy a keeper of your memories.
If you are interested in ordering a yearbook, bring $25 cash or a check to Miss Baethke to reserve your copy.
There are only 50 copies for sale, so order yours soon.
If any of you have been watching the news lately, or if you're a football fan, you know about the recent scandals involving the players in the NFL.
Our team is here to bring you more information on the topic.
A lot of you are asking about incidents in the NFL. Here's some feedback from students.
Hi, I'm here with Austin Bandy, and we're going to talk about the Ray Rice case. So, do you think Ray Rice should be able to play? Why or why not?
I don't think he should be able to play because, number one, he had an assault charge. Number two, if you get an assault charge in the NFL, you can't play for 6 to 9 games. So, and number two, he knocked his wife out.
Okay, thank you.
I'm here with Alex Tovar. What do you think about the Adrian Peterson incident?
I think it was pretty bad. What he did was wrong. He should get suspended, which he did. And yeah.
All right, thank you.
NFL's new policy for all 32 teams is for any domestic violence or sexual assault. First offense draws a 6-game suspension without pay. Second offense leads to banishment from the league. Wrapping it up, back to the studio.
Hopefully NFL players learn from Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson.
Before we sign off, we have some important words from Mr. Zebart.
This is a public service announcement from your principal. Door 2 is not an exit or an entrance. All students should be going in and out of door 1. Students going in and out of door 2, if caught, will be prosecuted.
Make sure you're all using the right door to go in and out of the building.
That does it for this episode of C103 News. Until next time, have a great week.